Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. I don't know where you are, but at my house it is raining cats and dogs, and I sometimes I love rainy weather. It gives me a license to have another cup of coffee, if you will. So anyway, I hope you're having a great day. Today I want to talk about the trap so many of us get in, which is the trap of superiority, judging people. And listen, I am not pointing my finger at anybody out there, because I'm really pointing my finger back at me, because I have a problem with this as well. So let me give a little backstory. Hi Savannah, hi Starla. Let me give you a little backstory, because usually when I hop on here it's because something that is just recently happened, and it did. So just this past week, my family and I went down to the Florida Keys, Key West area for vacation, and we did a lot of people watching. And it started out in the airport. I mean, the airport is a busy place. You know, there's thousands of people, and without you even realizing it, you're people watching. And of course, when you get down to the Key West area, there's some people watching to be done down there as well. And I got to thinking to myself, people watching in of itself is not a bad thing, but when you attach judgment to it, that's when it flips the switch, and it goes from just taking it all in to judging people. And we do this, myself included, quite often without even realizing it. We do it at the gym. We do it at our kids' school. We do it in the pickup line. We do it in the neighborhood. We do it in the work setting. We are, if we're not careful, we are doing a lot of judging, this trap of superiority. So one thing that happened down in Florida that really sort of sealed the deal, and I thought, you know what, Lynn, you got to work on this. This is something that you need to nip it in the bud. But we were out to dinner, we were out to lunch one day, and the table behind us had just one kid, and I think his name was Anthony or something like that. And there were signs all over. It was an outdoor area to eat, and there were signs everywhere. Don't throw food over the railing. Don't feed the fish. Don't feed the manatees. Don't feed the cranes or whatever they are down in Florida. Don't throw food over the railing. Don't do it. Well, this kid behind us kept throwing food over, and he was like 10. He was, older than somebody who, just doesn't know what he's doing. But anyway, he kept throwing food over, and his mom and dad would say, "Anthony, we told you to stop throwing food." And he would do it again, and they'd say, "Anthony, if we have to tell you one more time." And this just went on and on. So you moms out there probably know what I'm thinking to myself. Now, I don't deserve a Parent of the Year award at all, because I'm not a perfect parent, but I'm thinking to myself, if Anthony doesn't quit throwing, I think it was like little crackers, over the railing, I'm gonna take him by the neck and I'm gonna tell him to stop. I mean, this is what's going through my mind. And I am totally taking this air of superiority, like I got it all together. But it wasn't very long into this that I was thinking, okay, you don't know the backstory. You don't know what is going on with Anthony. You don't know what's going on with the parents. You don't know anything except what you're hearing. You are judging. So that's why I'm hopping on here today, because I thought, if I struggle at times with this, there's got to be so many of you out there. Give me a thumbs up if you also do the same thing and you really just think it's people watching or whatever. So sometimes tearing other people down makes us feel better. Let's just call it for what it is. If they've got problems, then that means we're doing a little bit better than they are. Sometimes tearing people down, we're really addressing our own insecurities or some things that we really struggle with, but we tear other people down to kind of mask what we're struggling with. We inadvertently deem that person or those people as unacceptable, and we're acceptable. Can I get an amen? Does anybody else do that? truth of the matter is bringing other people down, putting other people down does not elevate us at all. In fact, it does the opposite. So what should we be doing? We really need to give people the benefit of the doubt. And even saying that, the benefit of the doubt, sort of takes a little superiority in that too, because we are giving them the benefit because we've got it all together and they don't. But just for what it's worth, we do need to give them the benefit of the doubt. Instead of taking our little 1-inch surface level assumptions about what's going on in their world, let's try to instead make connections with them. You know, maybe I could have turned around and said something like, hey, Anthony, have I introduced you to my sons? You know, this is Jacob, Lucas, and Joseph. You know, maybe I could have averted that. Who knows? But instead of just making those inch deep surface level assumptions that I've got it all together, I could have maybe started a friendship or a connection with the woman. So many times we don't even know what they've been going through. Many times we don't know. So here's the other thing that if we're not careful, we will start to do, and that is to compare ourselves. I mean, women are really notorious for comparison and competition, but we do it silently a lot of times. We might not push each other out of the way or show our muscles or anything, but a lot of times we do compete with each other and compare ourselves. And I've done videos on that too. That's the thief of joy. So if we're not careful, we're going to judge and act superior. And if we're not careful, we're going to do a lot of competing with the other person. So now that I shared what happened to me and what happens to me if I'm not careful, what do you do with that? What do you do with that instead of saying, oh, we really shouldn't judge anymore, or we really need to stop people watching because it just implies that we're superior and they're not. Sure, it's true, but what can we do? I'm a teacher at heart, so give me the tools to help me. So the first thing that I think that we all need to do, instead of saying, oh, I never judge, or I people watch just to people watch and not really do, cast judgment. The first thing that you and I can do is admit that, yes, we do. We do judge. We do fall into the trap of superiority. And here's the deal, no one is immune to that. It doesn't matter how elevated you are, or if you've got it all together, you are going to be judged. It's just a matter of fact. I listened on the radio today, and there was a story about a nun, of all things, who was arrested for hiding drugs in her high heels. What? What's that all about? And first thing I did was like, what is she thinking? Or what? She's crazy lady, whatever, which is pretty crazy to do that. But again, I'm doing my judging and my superiority in my mind, thinking, I can't believe she did that. Well, I'm not saying I'm going to ever do that, and I'm not saying what she did was right, but I need to just zip it. There goes my air of superiority coming out to play. So number one, let's all admit that we all do it, and we're all going to be on the receiving end, and vice versa. Okay? Now that doesn't mean it's okay, because now we got to lead into what number two, and then that is to recognize. Okay, we understand, we admit that we all do it, and we're all going to be on the receiving end of it. Now let's recognize that we all have different brains, we all have different beliefs and backgrounds. We're always going to be different. We all have gifts and talents that are different. None of us have walked a mile in the other person's shoes. We haven't even walked an inch in the other person's shoes, let alone a foot or a mile. So we need to recognize that we're all different. And even the Bible says, if you are without sin, then you go ahead and you cast the first stone. Go ahead. But see, none of us can cast the first stone because none of us have it all together and we're not perfect. So our area of superiority needs to be stopped. Even when we say things, and I say this a lot, show them grace. Show them grace. That's a great thing. But sometimes we can use that word like, show them grace. Like we got it all together. We got to really balance that. It's a lot of questioning ourselves. What's my motive in my thoughts? And then the last thing that I think we need to do, number one was admit that, hey, we're all going to be on the receiving end of judgment and we all do it. Number two is to recognize that we're all different. But number three is we can ask for a sensitivity. We can ask people to hold us accountable. We can wake up in the morning and say, before we really get started with our day, you know, please help me not to fall into the trap of superiority because I am not superior to anybody. Help me to compliment people. Help me to get into their world. Help me to look for the positive instead of the negative. We can really ask, and it will ask and it will be received, but it takes practice and it takes recognizing that we've got to nip the superiority in the bud. Doesn't matter what walk of life you came from, what your social status is, what your age, what your education is, none of us is superior than the other one. So, got to dig deep. You've got to dig deep and ask yourself these questions. I heard a quote that I thought summed this up really well, and it's judging a person doesn't define who they are. Judging a person defines who you are. There's also, you know, when you point the finger at somebody, there's like 3 fingers pointing back at you. We've heard that since we've been in grade school or whatever, but it's true. It's true. So, if you got any value out of this, because I love to tell people, love to share things that I've learned and grown through, still a work in progress all the time. I love to share stuff like that. I feel like social media can be a great platform if we use it in a positive way. So having said that, if you got any value out of this particular video, share it with the next person. I just think that's a great thing to do. Paying it forward is part of my platform. Pay the good things forward and we have a better life. So anyway, thanks for watching. Enjoy the weather. If you're here in Missouri, it's kind of a respite from the heat. Nice and rainy day. Grab yourself another cup of coffee. If you're not here in Missouri, have a great day anyway, and thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys hopping on. Hey Shannon, hey Jim, I'll talk to you guys later.